Hey there, boys and girls. It's Ralph Garman, and you're listening to Talking Codswallop. Good choice.
Hello, everybody. This is Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Man. You might know me from the Tell 'em Steve Dave podcast and the I Sell Comics podcast. Listen, I love podcasting. I love talking, but what I really love doing is talking Codswallop.
Hey, I'm Alicia Witt.
I'm Daniel Portman from Game of Thrones. I play Podrick Payne.
I'm Ellipses, and you're listening to the Talking... Okay, I'm Mark Bernard, and you're listening to the Talking Codswallop podcast.
Hey man, it's Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, whose voice you were never used to hearing in the 90s until I started opening it up, man. And that's because I'm a podcaster and you're listening to a podcast, Talking Codswallop, right here, man.
Welcome to this week's Talking Codswallop. I am Gemma. With me today, I've got a very, very special guest. I found out about him probably December, I think, last year. And yes, he's taken the internet by storm, basically. Kind of man that you would like to appear when you go, Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. Please welcome Dave King from Sticky.
Hey Gemma, how are you? Thanks for the opportunity. I really thank you.
You're absolutely welcome, and thank you also for giving up your time for this as well. So it really does mean a lot to me. So,
oh look, it actually snuck me out of work 10 minutes early, so I'm not going to complain.
Oh, even better. I mean, you are the boss, so.
I am the boss. You'd think it would work out like that more often, but not at the moment.
No, yeah, exactly. But that also kind of screams to me that you're a fair boss. So that's good.
I like to think I'm fairly fair and even-keeled. I don't know. I have my days. We all have our days. I think I try to be involved and more lead by example than anything else. So hopefully that comes across.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes across in your videos that you're highly respected by your, your staff, your family. Well, you kind of feel like a family on your videos. So,
Look, the shop feels like that a little bit. They are an incredible team, and I think, I've become in some ways a little bit of a public face of it, but the work they put in and what they do, not just in terms of what they do on the live feeds, but what they do around the social media, the effort they put in, not just Annabelle and I, but Lily and all the guys, what they do is quite extraordinary.
Yes, it is. It's absolutely amazing. So, and very, very entertaining as well. But we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit. So I'm kind of... Yes. So for any of because you call your fan base Sticky Weirdos, don't you?
Yes, it just evolved. When we first started getting an online presence, I was kind of inundated with friend requests on Facebook, and I thought it was kind of important to keep some part of my digital life separate. So I actually just found out you can have a group on Facebook, and we called it Sticky Friends, and they weren't originally the Weirdos, but it was just something evolved. Someone asked me one day on one of the lives, why is your website always out of stock? And I just did it for the 50th time. And I just kind of said, because you weirdo nut jobs just keep buying it all. and instead of being offended, everybody just kind of leapt on board with it and took it in the spirit with which it was meant, and have now adopted it. So, yes, I get sent T-shirts that say King of the Weirdos, it's actually really lovely. It's such an incredible community.
Yes, it is amazing, because for our listeners of the podcast, because obviously we're called Talking Codswallop, you use the word codswallop in Australia, don't you?
Sure do. It's one of the reasons I was attracted to your podcast, to be honest, because that's about all I do is talk codswallop.
Yeah, exactly. Don't know if we have to be PG, but you can swear if you want to. But yeah, that's fine. But
and I'd never say that to an Australian.
No, well, yeah,
we'll see how we go.
A little less of the C if that's okay, but that's all right.
No worries. I'll stop well before then.
Yeah, no, that's cool. But our listener base are actually called the Salty Tadpoles.
The Salty Tadpoles. Okay, I like it.
Yeah, but kind of if you look deep into it, it's kind of like we're calling our listener base the sperm.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but
I'm sure there's a deep meaning in there somewhere that I won't delve too closely.
But again, like the weirdos, they've kind of accepted that's their name. They love it, Well, the majority of them do. Some are tadpoles, some are just listeners. We're very laid back. We don't care, what you prefer to be called or whatever. But yeah, they are. They're our family as well. So
Look, it's when someone can. I do worry quite often about how sense of humour or how humour is in some ways kind of being sucked out of the world at the moment. So
yeah,
for you and for your audience and for me and mine, that there is that opportunity to maybe not take yourself quite so seriously. I think it's vital.
Yes, definitely. And anybody who knows me knows that I don't take my life too well. I take life seriously, but I don't take this podcast too seriously. I kind of we're always here for a laugh.
Good.
Real life does get involved sometimes, but that's it. Anyway, I'm not here to promote my podcast. Sorry, I do apologise. I'm getting off.
No.
But although, if anybody wants to subscribe, please do so.
Please like and subscribe.
Yes. But yes, so you basically would like to find out about, first of all, your let's start from the beginning, your origin story. How did it all begin?
Okay. I won't go all the way back. I'm Australian, obviously, born and bred. Did well at high school and then did poorly at high school and worked for a few years. Went to university at about 23 on a mature age entry kind of thing and got into law. So spent 6 years working part-time to pay my way through a law degree and an arts degree, and then went to work for a large legal firm here in Sydney, one of the top 3 legal firms in Sydney, doing sort of competition law, mergers and acquisitions, some commercial litigation, and didn't think that was actually quite enjoyed the work and really loved the people. But when I looked around myself and saw the pathway, I didn't think that was what I wanted to do full time, and I'd always had a kind of vision of running my own business. So I actually saw through my brother, but saw someone doing something similar to what we do now. I just thought I could do it for a little bit more sophisticated, for a modern audience, focus on some of the customized stuff, and do it with slightly more of a modern kind of flair. So started the business. We started in December 2001, so that's going to make us 20 years old pretty soon.
Ooh.
And it had lots of ups and downs. We over the last 12 months, we've become we have a presence that way exceeds the size of our actual business. But it was a 20-year process. We kind of expanded in Australia then. When the global financial crisis hit, we were forced to contract in 2007, 2008. We were forced to contract here, but found some opportunities to develop what we do in other countries. So Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Cambodia, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, the United States. Sort of develop business partners and franchisees around the world. And was sort of just trundling along into the beginning of 2020 when COVID came along.
Yes. That is the C word that we can't discuss. No,
Oh, sorry,
you can.
that's the C word.
Damn you, Dave.
The C-bomb. I've dropped the C-bomb. Everyone said don't drop the C-bomb. But yes, the pandemic came along and flattened us. Like literally, our business is located in, the tourist precinct of Sydney, in the Rocks, which is sort of almost directly under the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House. And
okay.
so our retail business was almost entirely domestic and international travellers. And the other part of our business was weddings and corporate events. And everything just fell off a cliff over the period of about 2 weeks, to the point where it was looking. It's still desperate in the Rocks. It's like a zombie movie. It's a ghost town. But so we were about to pull the doors and just sort of thought we'll have a crack at social media.
Well, I think that's the good decision. And whose sort of idea was it, first of all, to do social media, or was it yourself?
Everybody's claiming that it was my idea. It was a conversation between Lily, who is our longest serving staff member. At the time, the business had been reduced to just three of us, myself and Lily and a young guy, Nick.
Yep.
And we were all standing around talking about it. We've always had we've never spent a lot of time on social media, but we've had a small and not insignificant Facebook following and Instagram following. And certainly enough numbers to go live. So we just kind of put a phone and rested up against the glass and thought, let's try and maybe leverage some of the theatrical side of what we do, because it is, what we do is a genuine process. There's a craft and an art to it, and maybe we could kind of leverage that into something of a live stream video presentation. So so we did. We just sort of stuck a phone up against the glass, and I'd like to say it was all genius, but it was more desperation than anything initially. A lot of hard work's gone into it since, but it really was just we've got nothing to lose, so let's see what we can do.
Yeah, definitely. I can understand that, because obviously with COVID and with the pandemic and everything, well, it's the same thing, but it's affected literally every single person on the planet, hasn't it? And it's insane. Quite often you hear about all, like, a few years ago, many years ago, in fact, we had like mad cow disease and stuff like that, and that was predominantly, I think, in England, or I was quite young at the time, so it probably just felt like it was my world. So I don't know if it was actually global or whatever. But that's something that only in my lifetime, basically, has anything this big ever happened.
Oh, look, I'm assuming I'm a fair bit older than you, Gemma, but this is unprecedented in my lifetime too. It's extraordinary, and look, in some ways, for us, it hasn't been a blessing. It's been terrible all the way through. But what we do, I think, found a place online partly because of the pandemic, in that there are a lot of people in dark places and in isolation and looking for something that was genuine, but that wasn't feeding the outrage machine. And I think I've thought quite a lot about what we do and why it resonates with some people. Not everybody, but why it resonates with some people. And it's, I think part of it is that it's quite whimsical. It's unimportant. That doesn't mean it's not interesting, because sometimes what we do really is fascinating, but it's not going to change the world. It's not going to outrage you, and it's suitable for little kids and older people who want to watch someone crafting something with their hands, and for a lot of people who've been in very dark places over the last 16 months. I think it's because of the interactive nature of what we do that we have someone devoted to reading comments. We have actually made a social side to social media for our business. I think that's given a whole lot of people, and certainly they reach out to me and tell me, but it's given a whole lot of people an escape from what's a pretty dark world sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I've been quite lucky because I've been working from home during the entire time. So in some ways it's been quite nice. In some ways it's, it's not been nice and whatnot. But yeah, it is nice because like with regards to your videos, because I don't think we've actually explained what you do for anybody who's not a Sticky
We should do
Weirdo.
that.
Yeah. Let you
Come on, are there people out there who aren't?
Yeah. Well, the salty tadpoles, I'm sure, will come over because they're amazing. But yeah, so you and your team, well, in England we call it stick of rock. Yeah. So basically, your videos are kind of showing everybody how the process is made, which is absolutely fascinating. And,
yes, what we do is really quite traditional in a lot of ways. It's not complicated in terms of recipe, and it dates back quite a long way in Northern Europe, but particularly those English seaside towns, Blackpool and Brighton.
And Weymouth, where I'm from. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just about everywhere, I think. But there's a long tradition of rock candy with letters in the middle. Ours is a bit different. We don't make sticks. My experience with sticks is you get a quarter of the way in and it's sticky and disgusting and you don't want to eat it. And, so we kind of cut them into what we call lollies here in Australia, which is any little bite-sized sweet, like jelly babies, or we would call a lolly.
Yep.
And then we've taken that, which is quite a traditional thing, but we do all sorts of Pokemon designs and I don't know, that the list is endless. Cocktail inspired drinks designs and fruits and all sorts, anything we can really come up with on a weekly basis. What we're doing is sculpting with sugar. So
yeah,
it's quite a mesmerizing process because we start with something really big and hot, and it turns into something quite delicate and small and beautiful. So yes, that's what we do is essentially rock candy, but it's taken to a slightly different place than traditionally it's been taken to.
Yeah, which is good. And it's also like with your, obviously watching your videos and things as well, it's kind of like you never 100, you are pretty sure that everything's going to work out, but there are times when you think, oh, I'm not sure, if it's maybe like your first time doing it or whatever, you're not 100% sure if it has, accurately worked. Like the one you did with the mosquito.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, no, you're actually never sure, but even with letters, it's remarkably easy to put a letter on backwards that you don't notice till the very end. Yeah. And often you're designing something with a pretty clear vision of where you want to go and the two-dimensional image that you're trying to construct in 3 dimensions with sugar, but it's you're never entirely sure. And one of the interesting things about going live, and for a while it freaked me out, is, you can always drop candy off the table. I've dropped Pikachu's eyes off the table, but sometimes some of those moments, those human moments of hopelessness, are some of the best moments you get. So I don't think anybody expects us to be perfect, which is what's quite nice about it. It's there's a thing about being live that is instantaneous and spontaneous, and you can't go back and edit the tape. But I think that makes us more human as we do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like if you can, like if those situations happen and you're probably going to be like, oh, bum, that kind of thing happened. I'm keeping it a little bit PG sort of thing, but oh, bum. Yeah. But, at the same time, it's something, like you said, that you can laugh at, and that somebody else is going to laugh at. Like, it's just light-hearted fun, isn't it? It is. Look,
there are a few people around the place making confectionery and things like that on social media and YouTube, and I think when I think about why ours has resonated the way it has, I think it's because there's this combination of not just the process, which is itself sometimes quite mesmerizing and fascinating, but it's the personality that sort of sits alongside the process. So it's the personality of the guys, wherever you are in the world, who these guys are. They have a uniquely kind of Australian self-deprecating sense of humor, which I think is not just nice, but it's attractive, and I think a lot of people tell us they are watching the lives as much for the ridiculous banter and stupid things we say to each other while we work as they are for the process itself. So it's the combination of those two things, I think, that really bringing out the human in the business and combining it with the process is what's worked for us, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, humour always wins, I think. So
well, yeah, we try not to take ourselves very seriously. The best things we do from my perspective are, when we go live from the International Space Station or from Mordor, and we dress up in costumes and we try to make, and you can't do it. It's actually quite demanding, that kind of stuff, and you can't do it all the time, but it's so satisfying to let yourself go and just be an idiot, and the courage of the guys I work with to let themselves go and be idiots in front of a live audience from around the world is just spectacular. Those guys are fantastic.
Yeah, so again, like a family, they're all amazing. So
yeah. Not always. Sometimes they're a real pain in the ass. I'm just going to drop the A-bomb, but sometimes. But they would say exactly the same thing about me, I have no doubt.
Yes, I'm sure they would. Also, I wanted to find out a little bit more about the charity work that you do with Sticky as well. Yeah, look,
we've been getting a little bit of press coverage, and I think for good reason. What a lot of people want to talk about is the success of the business in the middle of a pandemic, because it is a good business success story in the middle of some pretty dark stories about businesses failing. So, but the stuff that's been really satisfying to me is the community that's grown around it, the people who've reached out and said that what we've given them during isolation has been extraordinary and in some cases life-saving. But it's also given me, being handed a completely unexpected platform. My brother always says I'm an opinion looking for a platform, and always have been an opinion looking for a platform. But being given that and the opportunity to put some stuff back into the things we really believe in, like whether it's Indigenous access to justice and education and health and housing, or raising funds for Starlight Children's Foundation, or Are You OK and mental health issues, or funds for Beirut, or there's countless ways in which we have over the last sort of 16 months really tried to engage not just ourselves but the community in that as well, to work together towards things as a team. And I think that's given people a sense of belonging as well. So yes, it has been incredibly satisfying to me. It's not something I ever really thought. I've always been fairly outwardly oriented in what I wanted to do and giving money to causes where I could. But to be able to mobilise X number of people to raise $20,000 for Starlight in a day is spectacular. I can't tell you. It has made me feel better about myself and the business and the world, quite honestly.
Yeah.
That's a really spectacular thing, is this, in some ways, social media can be incredibly poisonous and toxic, and I get death threats and hacked and spammed, but it's such a small percentage of people who are out there. The goodwill of humanity, in my eyes, has been restored a little bit. It's not ubiquitous. It's not everywhere, but people are generally really kind of lovely.
Yeah.
I've been amazed.
But sorry, I have to tiptoe back. You've had death threats.
Oh, yeah, but not real ones. I don't know I don't know what a real death threat is, but I know where you are. I know where you live. It's the it's the mouth breathing neckbeard sitting in his grandmother's basement who really
keyboard warrior.
Well, not even so much the people with a cause, just the guys who want to see the world burn, and you're familiar with Annabelle, my daughter.
Yes.
Who is 18 and who has constructed this extraordinary 4.4 million TikTok around the business at the same time as we've been going live on all these other platforms. But being 18 and getting involved in social media to that level caused me a great deal of concern initially, but being able to kind of navigate it with her together.
Yeah.
The comments on some of our YouTube videos, we've had a couple of videos that have gone just extraordinarily viral, like 180 million views.
Wow.
But the comments on some of those about her, about this little 18-year-old girl, sometimes they're just vile. But,
yeah.
She's together, being able to do it together, we actually look for them now so that we can laugh at people. And I think that's kind of the road you have to take, whether it's a death threat or it's just a bit of toxic nastiness. I think you have to find a way to laugh at it because it's not real. I don't ever see them as real. I see them as just people looking to agitate.
Yes, absolutely. And get attention, really, as well, isn't it?
And get attention.
Yeah. But I'm sorry. Sorry.
Like you see someone like Ben Shapiro comment on one of your videos, say something really nasty, and they're just trolls. They're just online trolls.
Yeah, but you're right with regards to Annabelle, because obviously you're her dad first, aren't you? So you're always going to be protective.
Yes, I've got a 14-year-old daughter too, who's been on a few lives, but it's not the space she wants to be in at the moment, and I entirely understand that. And Annabelle, all the way through, has been given absolutely, look, if you want to be in, you're in. If you're not, if you don't, you don't. She's handled both the expectation and some of the toxicity extraordinarily well. She earned herself a place at university doing medical science as she was doing it. She's a clever and strong young lady, and I think this experience really has been such a valuable insight to her and to all the guys in the shop and to me and to my wife. In terms of the power of social media, the reach of social media, but also some of the more tricky aspects of it as well. And navigating it together has made it all kind of not just bearable but funny. We can laugh at it. So.
Yes. Yeah, and she's also very comical. I'm not just saying that because she's your daughter. Everybody is, but I do go, oh.
She's a clown.
Yeah. So when because obviously you've got a couple of viewer questions as well. So it's from the Sticky Weirdos, but I'm still on my own questions at the moment. But we'll obviously go through them all. Well, if we can, obviously. I don't know if you're on a time scale, are you? Or
no, I'm fine.
You're good. Okay, so 2 hours from now we'll be finished. Maybe not quite.
I take it back. No. It's fine. I mean, look, objectively, when I sit outside this story, it's extraordinary. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it does make sense, but it's still extraordinary. So I'm more than happy to talk about it. It's objectively, it's weird and wonderful.
Yes, exactly. Have you got any, because we kind of touched upon it earlier, but have you got any kind of funny mistakes that you can share?
The one that I'm famous for is making lollies and just kind of drifting off into my own little world and dropping on the floor a crucial element of the design. And I think that's the one I'm famous for. Whenever they come up, they become a thing for a couple of weeks. The boys started build. They were having a back and forth with somebody in the interactive comments on the live, and they were trying to make. I think they were trying to make something that hotel, and they started making entirely the wrong word because they'd been talking about something entirely different. Mistake. They're not actually. They don't end up being mistakes. They end up being part of what we do. So I don't know. I can't. it's almost like there's too many when designs just don't turn out, when you put the eyes in the wrong place, when you've talked yourself up about the incredible design you're going to do and it looks terrible at the end. Or they'd happen all the time.
Yeah. Do you still sell them, or?
Yes, we have a wonderful product called Mystery Mix. It's a bit of a lucky dip grab bag of customized orders that have gone wrong, or bits we have left over, or designs that just don't cut the mustard, and we put it all in a bag and give it a name and sell it that way. It's the same candy. It tastes great. It's
Exactly.
But yes, it doesn't. Nothing goes to waste. That's for sure.
That's good. Because I was going to say if I was there, but I'm actually diabetic, so I couldn't do this anyway.
Are you?
Yeah.
It's next on my list is some sugar-free stuff. I've made it before, but it hasn't happened yet.
No, I can imagine that it wouldn't be that easy to make, because it's a bit like my friend once, one of my podcast hosts, he jokes because I said that I really wanted people to send me Ferrero Rocher, and he's like, yeah, but you're diabetic, so all they're going to send is a hazelnut and the wafer.
Sugar, it's not that hard to work with. It never tastes as good. Sugar is a wonderful product if had in moderation. It's and the product we would be using to make it happen, isomalt with an artificial sweetener. Generally, you can't eat too much of it because it can cause some pretty serious stomach things. But for people who do have issues with sugar, diabetics, it's a good alternative, and I will be getting onto that as soon as possible.
Yeah, which would be good. But yeah, if I was in the shop or if I was making stuff or whatever, I'd probably be going, one for me, one for the pack, one for me.
I always heard those stories of people who, work in a chocolate factory and could no longer eat chocolate. I certainly don't have that problem. No. There's some lollies I'll never eat again, but there's some, whenever I make them, I can't help myself. They're too good.
What's your favourite flavour, then?
It does change because we experiment quite a bit. I tend to go through, a few weeks ago we did apricot and coconut together, which was just fantastic, or pina colada, which we'd never done before, which became my new favourite. But in the end, I keep going back to peppermint. We use a natural peppermint oil, and maybe it's just because I'm an old man or something, but the peppermint is just awesome.
Yeah, that does sound nice. Anything sort of rhubarby and stuff like that for me is always nice. Okay,
rhubarb. See, rhubarb and custard I would love to do, but I'm yet to find a good rhubarb flavour. So I'm constantly on the hunt. If someone out there knows of where to get a good rhubarb flavour, let me know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I might even buy some, and I can just have like one a week.
Have one. You can just sneak one.
Yeah. Or if I'm feeling low, I can have two. So with regards to your staff that you have, I think I've actually got somebody who has actually asked a similar question, so we might get onto this in a minute, but do you kind of have to be like quite artistic to work for Stickies?
No, is the short answer. I think it can help. What we do is very physical. I'm not sure quite the extent to which that comes through on the videos, but if you're making 7 batches of candy a day, it is physically demanding. So a capacity for physical work is really important. The basics of the theory of what we do is anyone can learn. Some people pick it up really quickly. Some people don't. Some people never get it. Some people don't like it. Having an artistic bent helps, but I think what matters is wanting to be good at something. And I think if you're doing it, it doesn't have to be the thing you want to do for the rest of your life, but if you're doing it and you want to be good at it and you want to be better at it over time, you will be. You'll learn. The tricky thing with us as a business now is that as a candy maker, you're kind of expected to be physical and artistic and entertaining at the same time, which is pretty tough. And really what impresses me about all those guys in the shop so much is that they have this capacity to keep turning up and doing it and not losing their shit. Because really, particularly, I don't know if you know, but Sydney's in pretty serious lockdown at the moment with the Delta variant. So
yeah, I thought
those
it was.
guys. Yeah, these my guys they're going to work and then they're going home, and that's their life. And to turn up and be pleasant and entertaining, even when somebody's insulting you or telling you how to move the camera, or it's inspiring. It inspires me sometimes with how great they are. But yeah, sorry, there was a long way around to saying you don't have to be artistic. It helps, but you do have to be prepared to do some physical work. And if you want to be good at it, you can be.
Yes, yeah, that's fine. And, with like I said, we're called Talking Codswallop for a reason. So you carry on.
just ramble on about all sorts of things. Yeah. Yes. And the being entertaining, it's tough, it took me ages to actually watch one of these videos when we started doing them. Yeah. But I've watched a few and I'm kind of watchable. I don't know what it is, but I'm watchable. I'm no great TV presenter or anything like that, but I'm naturally opinionated, which I think helps, but I don't go for outrage. So yeah, it's the perfect candy maker is many, many things.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And I think because you've all got the Aussie charm as well, it's kind of like Australians to me have got some form of like charm where you've got the kind of the British sarcasm slightly, but then you've also got the like laid backness that you kind of, I'm trying to think what it is really, because it's like laid back, but it's kind of like cheeky as well, if you know what I mean. So
I've thought about it quite a bit because a large portion of our audience is American and European. Yeah. I've thought about it quite a bit. I mean, I think there's two things. One is Australia's kind of exotic without being threatening. Yeah. It's but the other one is we don't take ourselves very, like, we know that as a people in a country that we're a little bit shit, generally speaking. So we don't mind reminding ourselves of that, and we don't really mind others reminding us of that too. And I do notice that people from other countries can get very offended if you say something that sounds, disrespectful in some way, or and Australians, I think, because we're so used to, you say taking the piss.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, but so Australians are so used to taking the piss out of each other. We get absolutely surprised when you take the piss out of someone else and they arc up about it. So yeah, it's one of the things I think that is, there's a lot of stuff that's not very endearing about Australians, but that ability to really not take yourself very seriously and be quite welcoming when someone wants to call you the C word. It is a unique national trait, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Because it kind of is in this country as well. Because, at the end of the day, I mean, now that you've just said that you're quite, you like taking the piss and that, I can easily say that this, Australia is kind of the British rejects.
Yeah.
The criminals.
Yeah, no, but we see what a great origin story that is.
I know, yeah.
Honestly, yeah, we are the world's refuse, man. We're the people no one else wanted, and we're okay with that, because look where we live. This country is extraordinary. It's weird because it's a big country and a small country at the same time, like really big and not many people. I always say it's a great country to get out of and a wonderful country to come home to. We are backward in some ways, and we have a long way to go in terms of our sophistication around some things. But at the same time, the people are, generally speaking, lovely. It's safe. It's a wonderful country.
Yeah, it's safe until you look at all of the things that can kill you.
People talk about that all the time, but I don't know. They don't want to have anything to do with you, the snakes and stuff, and they don't hang out in your. I mean, there's spiders. Yeah, I don't know. It's just part of your life. The ones that freak you out aren't the dangerous ones. It's the huntsman spider that runs across your windscreen while you're driving, or they can startle you, but it's so safe. Americans say all the time, I would never go to Australia because of all the deadly creatures, but they've got mountain lions and bears and we don't have any large predators at all. They're all gone. So all we have is little things.
Yeah.
And they don't want to come near you. They're scared of you.
Yeah. But you have got drop bears.
Well, there's some debate. I did see a story the other day that said there's drop bears. It is a delicious story. It's one we love telling tourists.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it was true, but no. Yeah.
And the hoop snake as well, isn't it? That's the other one.
The hoop snake?
Oh, okay.
You're going to educate me now.
Well, actually, I don't know what it is, so but I guess it's just like I don't know, something. But it's I've heard something that Australians like to say, obviously about the drop bears. They're extremely vicious, and we're not gonna spoil it if anybody doesn't know what a drop bear is. But
the story goes they're koalas or mutated
ruined
koalas.
It.
Mutated koalas that drop from the trees and will gouge your eyes out at the first opportunity. But
no.
It's terribly. It's weird that's a reputation, and it comes from Crocodile Dundee and the Crocodile Hunter, but it's just such a terribly safe country.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in that case, then you've made me feel a bit better. One day I might come across.
Oh man, you're missing out if you don't. It should be on everyone's bucket list.
Yeah, definitely that in New Zealand, because I want to go and see all the hobbits and stuff.
And New Zealand, yeah.
Yeah, not the real hobbits, because I know that they're not actually real, but all the like Hobbiton and stuff like that. So, yeah,
there are some remarkable similarities between New Zealand and its inhabitants and Mordor and the world of Middle Earth, but they are different places, that's for sure.
Well, I've got a couple of friends who's actually one's in New Zealand, the other one's in Australia. So it's quite funny because we've got a 3-person chat with, like myself in England, and then the other two. And, so kind of rivals in some way, but we've all become really good friends. And, the one, the Kiwi of the group, he's definitely got hairy feet, and we're like, ooh, you really are a hobbit.
Yeah, that's definitely a New Zealand trait, the hairy feet.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was showing us anyway, I shouldn't really get onto this, but, he was showing us a
Oh, no, let's take the piss out of the New Zealanders. They just won the Olympics, so they can take it.
Oh, okay, that's fine. To be honest, I haven't been watching, so...
What?
I can't... I'll be honest, I don't really care about sport.
It's been the only thing that's kept me sane for the last 2 weeks, to be honest. I've loved every minute.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah. And that is good to have all different interests. But, go back to my friend's feet.
Mm-hmm. You'll have to send me a photo because I'm fascinated now.
Well, basically, he'd... it was quite a serious injury, actually, with it involving a chainsaw in his big toe, unfortunately. Didn't cut it off. It's all good. It's not too graphic, but it was still quite a bad injury. And anyway, so he was showing us his like war wound because me and my other friend are quite we like all that gory stuff. And and the only thing that we noticed, we were like, look at your hairy feet. That was the thing
you
we
can
couldn't
rely
get
on
over.
friends to make you feel good, can't you? That's lovely.
Yeah. Anyway, back to you. So you kind of alluded to the franchise part earlier. And with regards to, like, first of all, how did it make you feel that you actually got to, like, franchise your business over different countries?
Oh no, I loved it. It was sort of, I guess it's something like seeing your kid grow up and travel or something like that. It was, I've always loved travel and spending time in other countries. It was really the only dream or ambition I had when I was younger, is just to get out of here and go and see other places. The first trip I had was to India when I was 22 and spent 6 months sort of just bumming around in India. But that opportunity to live everywhere from the United States to Saudi Arabia to Singapore to Cambodia, albeit for shorter or longer periods, has been probably up there with my biggest delights in the business, because you don't go there as a tourist. You go there as a friend and as a mentor and with an in-into so many things that the normal traveller might not see when you go there as a business partner of someone so it's been absolutely fantastic. I can't tell you. And just the cultural experience of being taken out of your world and dropped in the middle of someone else's, it's been fantastic.
Yeah, I can imagine it has been. And because I noticed with a few different places that, are they pretty much sticking to the same sort of flavours and designs as you do? Or do they sort of have the room to kind of do kind of whatever they want to do to a point?
Oh, no, there's always difference. In Southeast Asia, they love durian. I don't know if you've ever had durian. It's called the king of fruits. Okay. It's terrible. It's so bad. The only thing worse than the smell is the texture, and the only thing worse than the texture is the taste. And if you can manage to get it into your mouth, it's actually illegal on most airlines. Okay. It's so bad. But, that's a flavour that's terribly popular in Malaysia and Singapore, but it's not something we would do here. Yeah. So there's always that opportunity. In the United States, they might like Dr. Pepper, whereas here in Australia we do a musk, which no one else in the world does. So there's always, one of the nice things about being small and flexible and artisanal and handcrafted is that you can always experiment, and it's, we don't have to focus group flavours, and we don't have to talk to a marketing team, and we don't have to, you can just kind of let your imagination run riot, and I really encourage that in all the, wherever you've got a sticky shop, is to look, here's how to do a strawberry. You should do strawberry because strawberry's great. But if you can think of something new and different, then go for it, because that if there's a beauty in the business, it's that.
Yeah, and it's kind of on brand as well, isn't it? Because you're very experimental with your different things. So
try to be, but that really is the key. And particularly, look, I don't know how long the world will stay vaguely interested in us and what we do, but part of the key to that happening is going to be keeping it a little bit varied and a little bit current and a little bit different all the time. So
and kind of fresh as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. It's certainly in the lives. That's going to be the next challenge for what we do, is how to make it to stick to what we do and what works, but how to expand it a little bit to bring in different content and different ideas. And I've got some ideas how to do that, but we'll wait and see. Things to come.
Well, sounds fantastic. But also, I've got a question that's kind of related from the, I don't know why I keep forgetting the word weirdo, sorry, from the lovely weirdos, because I keep wanting to say salty tadpoles, so that's why I keep hesitating.
Nut job weirdos.
Pardon? Sorry?
The nut job weirdos.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, oh, we keep talking at the same time, Dave. Come on now.
You go.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So Justine has actually asked, bearing in mind the popularity in Europe and the UK, would you consider opening a shop franchise over here? And then she's also added, I'm up for learning how to make lollies.
Okay. Look, I get asked a lot. At the moment, it's probably not quite one a day. But people who are really interested in doing a version of what we do in their country, yes, as I said, I love travelling, and I think that can definitely be part of what we do. The world isn't kind of ready for that, or at least Australia won't let me leave, to be honest, at the moment. So it kind of puts a kibosh on it. And the reason I haven't been working on any of these is the work that I put into making a business happen for someone in another country is actually it's quite monumental. Like a lot of time, whether it's legal agreements and manuals and training and negotiation and site design and back and forth about 700 million different things, is that, you know, if travel is not on the cards, and it's not on the cards for some indefinite period of time into the future, I simply can't devote the headspace and time necessary to get that deal and that business off the ground right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully it doesn't stay that way for long. But at the moment, I'm kind of pushing all that to one side. We do have a partner in the United States already. I spent a year and a half living in Hollywood, or living in Santa Monica, but building a shop in Hollywood. We do have a business partner in the United States, but I'd love to do something in Europe. My father was English, and I've been back a couple of times, and I feel a great affinity for England, except when we're playing cricket. But I feel a deep affinity. I'd love to do something in Europe. I really would. Italy's probably my favourite place in the world.
Oh,
stunning.
Yeah. Well, I've never actually been to Italy. There's a lot of places that I need to actually go to, but then also at the same time, there's a lot of places in England that I haven't been to as well. So I'm kind of taking the opportunity at the moment, because I can't travel anywhere, to actually explore my own country. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
England is an amazing country. I mean, Australia has a certain image, but England has this image of being a miserable, wet country off the coast of Europe.
Yeah.
But there's parts of England that are just stunning. I can't tell you.
Yeah. Well, I'm quite nice. Where I live by the seaside, but I also live in the country as well. So I'm in the southwest of England.
Okay.
Yeah, so in a county called Dorset, and I said that very posh. And normally it's Dorset.
Dorset. I'm from Dorset. Okay. I know. I gotcha.
Yeah, we got Cumbrian Harvesters down here. We have.
You do that really well. You should do your podcast that way. That's fantastic.
Well, sometimes I do. Sometimes, unfortunately, the words slip out, but I do try to. It's almost like a different persona, so that people can actually understand what I'm saying.
Yes, you're like a Scottish David Tennant doing an English Doctor Who.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it helps that I'm in customer service as well, so I've automatically got like a slightly posher tone to my voice. And my dad. I was going to say, and my dad was Welsh, so okay. I haven't got the full Dorset accent, so that's quite good.
Well, look, it's something I'm pretty conscious of, and I think most Australians are too. Is, you know, there's the Australian accent, and then there's the way we speak when we're trying to be understood by other people. So
yeah,
I think I don't even know. I don't sound to me like I have an accent, but I'm sure I do. But I know it's not the full on. Hey, mate, you go. Sort of Australian accent that that you hear quite a bit when you're here.
Yeah, you dingbat.
Hey, you go, mate. Like here, you really don't need consonants at all.
Yeah.
When you talk proper Australian, you can say entire sentences like, yeah, and everyone knows exactly what you're talking about.
I kind of picked up on most of that.
Hey, all right, you going, mate?
Yeah.
Yes, it's we recognise how ridiculous it is when you hear it overseas. I remember being in a beer hall in Munich once and hearing some Australian stand up and just go, "Hey mate, you can say whatever you like. I can't understand you." And it was the ugliest, most awful thing I'd ever heard in my life.
Oh, it's still brilliant though. And then I'm like, yeah, I did understand what you said then.
Yeah, we all heard you, mate. We all knew what you said.
Yeah, and you said it loud enough.
Yeah. It does sound uglier the Australian accent does sound uglier overseas than it does here. That's for sure.
I don't know. I think that's your hearing of it, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, because I think that I think the Australian accent's lovely. But then, like you said, you don't think that you've got an accent. Obviously, to me, you have got a slight accent. But to me, when I'm talking, I'm like, I haven't really got an accent either. But, obviously you're listening to me and you're probably like,
of course.
Yeah, you do.
Of course. You certainly do have an accent, that's for sure. But I did prefer the full Dorset. You should go the full Dorset more often.
All right. Well, we'll do the rest of the interview in full Dorset, okay? Well, we're onto the Sticky Weirdos questions now. So some weirdo called Dave King.
Yep.
He wrote
Troublemaker.
I
Such
know.
a troublemaker.
Although I don't know if you saw, but accidentally, and I don't know where I came from with this, confessions of a podcaster moment, but I called you David Kelly for a little bit. And I was like, I have no idea why. I knew your name was David King.
But you called me David Kelly on this podcast?
Well, no. When I put up the post on originally, but then I had somebody commented saying I can't remember who it was, but they were like, "Who's David Kelly?" And I was like, and then I was like,
He wrote like all the Beverly Hills 90210 or something. David Kelly. Sounds like
there
a
you go
familiar name.
then. Maybe subconsciously I was thinking of him, but no, I really don't know where it was coming from, but I must have just been tired when I was typing it, or I was listening to the tally and something came up with the word Kelly. But anyway.
Just had an old timers moment. I have them all the time.
Yeah, I'm only 38.
It's old enough, man. Stop there. Don't get any older. That's it. 27. I wish I'd stopped at 27.
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually 27 was good.
Yeah, it's the best.
Anyway, back to this weirdo, David King.
Sorry, yep.
He asks, how much do you rely on the courage and and generosity of the rest of the team?
Entirely. Like one of the really interesting things, and one of the reasons I think we've succeeded a bit in social media is, as I was saying before, the personality. But it's a very hard thing to do for a brand and a business to give their employees free rein with something like social media, to not micromanage it, because it is your brand and it is your public face. But having said that, giving that responsibility, sharing that responsibility has not only kind of brought the best out in those guys, but it's given them like an ownership stake. Yeah. And I can't tell you, I rely on it entirely. What Lily does we've kind of divvied it up a little bit. We don't do anything, we don't have anyone external on social. So Lily kind of takes, we all share it all, but Lily kind of takes main responsibility for the Instagram, which is something like 160,000 people now. And then I take responsibility for the Facebook, and then Annabelle does the TikTok, then we all contribute on the YouTube, and that was quite a leap of faith initially, but I'm so glad I did it. Those guys all do an incredible job, and I rely on their generosity with their time, but their courage in putting themselves out there entirely. What a great and insightful question that is.
I know.
And the other one I wanted to mention is everybody is playing this really important role, but my wife is the engine room of the whole thing. She's the one who makes sure that the systems work, that our website integrates with Australia Post, that stuff that needs to be done gets done. So if there's one individual who makes the entire thing work, it's my wife Rachel. She doesn't get the recognition she deserves, but she's amazing.
Oh, so she's almost like the silent background kind of thing, but
she's the boss, man. She's the boss. That's not even a throwaway line or a joke. She's the boss. We all defer to her. I defer to her, but she's the one who, if something doesn't work, she'll tell you why. If something does work, she's probably the reason why it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is really, really good. You do need somebody like that in the team.
You do. And it's, people often ask me, what's it like to work that closely with your spouse? And it has its challenges for sure. I mean, some nights, because we live together, we'll be sitting up late at night talking about work, which is not really healthy for a relationship, but at the same time, the fact that we've been together for as long as we have and haven't killed each other is kind of testament to the fact that we trust each other, and we can divvy up work pretty well, and that we continue to have we kind of respect what each other does.
Yeah, which is lovely, which is great. Great from a business point of view, lovely from a, obviously, partnership point of view or marriage.
Yes, there's certainly some challenges there when you live and work together, but
yeah.
Yes, if you can make it work, it can be terribly satisfying as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So how many people are actually in your team then?
10 at the moment.
Okay.
When the pandemic arrived in March last year, we were down to 3.
Mm-hmm.
So we're back up to 10. I have a cunning plan at the moment for expansion and growing, but the lockdown in Sydney is kind of putting a lot of things on hold at the moment. So hopefully there'll be more of us soon. It's about all I can say at the moment. Hopefully there'll be more of us soon, but 10.
Yeah, fantastic. Perfect round number, because I like even numbers, so that's good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. You got an OCD thing there, or is it just
I don't know, I just prefer even numbers.
just like even numbers? Okay.
Yeah. I was born 2nd of April, so 2-4. There you go.
2-4. Okay. Yeah. I actually just had my birthday, so
You have, yes. I did mean to say at the beginning here, happy birthday.
thanks, mate.
Yeah.
51.
Pardon?
51.
51.
I'm actually really pleased that this little bit of, it can't last, but this little bit of notoriety or whatever you want to call it has come at a more mature age for me. It's a much easier thing to navigate at when you've got a little bit more maturity. So
Yes.
it's worked out well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think anything like this is, it's sometimes I sort of sit here and I think, oh, I really wish that we had more listeners or salty tadpoles, as I said earlier. But at the same time, I kind of love our community that we've got because I feel like they're all friends and family kind of thing. So, but I'm always happy for the podcast to expand, so I can kind of see what you mean from that point of view.
It's a really interesting thing about the world these days is there's such a pressure to scale. It's all anyone talks about is scale. Is how do I get my app to 1 billion people, and how do I dominate the market? And I'm not sure that it's always either on an individual level or on a society level. I'm not sure it's actually always that helpful to scale everything.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons people responded to us is because we're so dinky. Like we have this reach on social media that is far exceeds who we are as a business. But I think that the reason for that is because we are small. Like you know us. People don't even know the brand as much as they know Lily and Cooper and Miranda and Dave and Annabelle and Rachel. And so I think scaling is not always going to be for the best, I don't think.
No, yeah, you're definitely no, yeah. There you go.
That's such an Australian thing. Yeah, no, mate. Yeah, no.
But no, you're definitely right there. But it would, sort of from a sponsorship point of view, sometimes it's nice to have a little bit more so you can actually get seen by people, kind of thing.
Of course,
but,
of course.
Whatever.
Well, let's see if we can get you some weirdos on board.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yes, please. Although I have actually had a few people subscribe, so thank you ever so much for those people. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, that's nice.
You were going to share this in the group, yeah?
Yes, I will be. So as long as you're happy for me to do so, of course.
if you've managed, if you're out there and you're listening and you managed to listen to me rabbit on this long, jump on board, give it a try. I'm a podcast fan myself. I listen to podcasts all the time. So.
Well, there you go. I got another subscriber then.
There you go.
And you'll be able to hear James as well, because James is my co-host, but he's suffering with long COVID at the moment, so he's kind of a little bit intermittent with regards to the recordings. So that's why he's not here today.
Best of luck to him, man.
Yeah, he'll get there. He will get there, but it has been a struggle for him. Normally normally I add in like a joke about him here, but when it comes to this, I know he's really struggling. So
no, it's not funny. It's not funny. My brother lives in Barcelona, and he and his husband had it recently. So I fully appreciate the struggle of knowing people who are suffering with it. So
yeah, it is hard. Anne-Marie would like to know, or she says, ask Dave if he thinks in the future he will need to expand. With the insane growth and fame, would he need a bigger shop or maybe a second site to be able to produce more? So you've kind of alluded to that already, so that's why I thought I'd use that.
Yes, someone has discovered my cunning plan.
Yeah.
That's where I'm headed at the moment. I would not so much to exploit it, but I'm very conscious at the moment that there's we have been disappointing people all over the world for some time now, and people in a lot of cases who just want to support us, who just want to reach out, who maybe don't even know if they like lollies, but really get something from the live stream, so they kind of want to buy some product to help us, and then they go to the website and it's eternally sold out. So yes, if I can satisfy some of that and grow the business a bit, yes. But as I say, everything's on hold at the moment here in Sydney and internationally, but that's the next plan.
Yeah, I suppose in some ways, okay, yes, it's on hold, but it means that you've got the time to really think deep about what you want to do next, rather than, jumping straight in. And not that you probably would jump straight forward into it, but, it kind of gives you that breathing time to actually really think about what you want to do next, isn't it?
Yes. Look, I kind of wish things were moving a little bit faster at the moment. But having said that, I'm fully cognizant that when I look around, not just here in Sydney, but around the world, or in Australia and around the world, we're in such a lucky position. I feel constantly grateful. So continuing to remind myself of that and work towards things without a sense of urgency, with a sense of purpose, but without a sense of urgency, I think is, it's a better place to be than otherwise.
Yeah. Fantastic. I say fantastic quite a lot, and I don't mean it in a sarcastic way, but it comes across.
You don't mean fantastic?
Yeah, fantastic. Michelle would like to know, what made you and Rachel exchange your previous careers to start Sticky?
Just looking for something. Well, originally she didn't. When we started the business, she's got a PhD in genetics, and she was working for Johnson & Johnson as a researcher. And originally she didn't. We started the business. I left my job at the law firm, started the business. She was doing bits and pieces. And funnily enough, she had a baby 9 months to the day after we opened the shop. So once that happened, and she took some time off work and then became more involved, and it kind of evolved for her. I know that there are times in her life where she's still disappointed because she really does love science. But once you've been out of it for a while, it moves so quickly these days, particularly biology and genetics has moved so quickly that, it's hard to get back into. But I'm not an ambitious person. I've never been an ambitious person. I don't know if that's helpful or not. It wasn't helpful when I was younger, but it's probably helpful now that I'm a bit older. That doesn't mean I used this term a moment ago, but I kind of work with purpose. If I'm going to do something, I'll bloody do it as well as I can. But I've never had a vision of myself at any particular level of wealth or success, or I think part of my dad died when I was quite young, and he was quite young, so I don't think I ever really thought I'd get old, to be honest. Yeah, it never occurred to me that I would till I got to a couple of years ago. I became older than he ever had been, and I thought, I never really thought I'd get here. So.
Which I can kind of understand, because obviously I referenced my dad earlier, but I put him in past tense as well, because unfortunately my dad passed away as well. So I think, that can quite affect your life when you're on the younger side? I mean, I wasn't.
Oh, I was very angry back then. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't young, but I was. I think I was about 27, so it's almost 10 years ago. So
Right.
I would have been 28.
Right.
Quick math.
That's young though to lose a parent. It is, and it certainly makes you ask questions about the meaning of it all.
Question everything. But there you go. But that's you've got to just learn to move forward and move on with your life, haven't you? Eventually, it takes some time, but you have to do it just to put your existence into the world. Really, I suppose.
Well, in some ways, I think I was. You're never going to say you're lucky to be 13 and lose your dad, but at the same time, it's a pretty interesting lesson in life to learn at that young age, and then as you grow older, you've been given a bit of a leg up in terms of dealing with loss and sorrow and hardship and keeping your balance if you've had those experiences early. So
yeah,
there's no really a silver lining to it. I'm just saying that life offers you lessons all the way through.
Yeah. If life gives you lemons, make gin and tonic. That's what we all
Make
say.
gin and tonics. It's gin and tonic o'clock here in Sydney.
Oh,
Very close.
well, feel free. Although, I live by the rule that it's 12 o'clock somewhere. You know what I mean?
It is always gin and tonic time somewhere in the world. That is so true. I recently just did Dry July, and I've done it the last couple of years to raise some money for people living with and through cancer. I don't enjoy it. But I think it's, once again, I think it's good for me, but I do not enjoy Dry July.
Oh, well, that's fair enough. But yeah, it's for a good cause. But, you can always make August a completely wet one.
Oh, it's wet already. It's raining here in Sydney.
Well, actually, it's the height of summer in the UK, and it's it's not raining at the moment, but it has been. It's raining, and it's like 14 degrees. We were on 30 degrees a couple of weeks ago, which is really hot for us. And it's like now it's 14 degrees and raining, so it's like, okay, our British summer's gone then.
30 degrees, that's where you get all the OAPs dropping off the tree, isn't it? About 30 degrees.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a beautiful afternoon here in Sydney. 30 degrees, perfect.
Yeah, I can imagine so. But then at the same time, we haven't got aircon. We only have fans and windows.
Right.
Yeah. So, But yeah, I can imagine, because you go up to the heats of 50 degrees, don't you?
Generally, there's a few days in summer that are up in the low 40s. We don't really hit 50 degrees. I think maybe once in my lifetime. That's not a common thing, but the low 40s, that's hot enough for me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll be coming over in the winter when I come over.
Actually, autumn.
Autumn. Okay.
Because spring, because which is like March, April, but the ocean is still warm from summer, but it's not so hot. Autumn is perfect.
Ah, okay. Thank you. There you go. We got some travel tips here.
Inside, you got the inside tip. Go to Byron Bay or somewhere on the north coast of New South Wales in autumn, when you can sit in the ocean, and it's this perfect. Like, you can sit there all day. I can't rave about it highly enough. Okay.
Well, there you go. So next autumn, I'll be over.
Okay, see you then.
I'll pop into the shop and say, oh, yeah.
Well, it's one of the hardest things at the moment is no one comes into the shop. It used to be that kind of interactivity that we have online used to be just us and customers in the shop talking to them, talking bullshit to the customers. So, I'm missing that human interaction on a face-to-face basis. Yeah.
Yeah, that has got to be hard when it's something that you're definitely used to. I'm quite enjoying not being face to face with people there. So
that's what Lily in the shop says. I just don't like people.
I much prefer animals to people, definitely.
Yes, you're not alone there.
Yeah. Julie has asked, Have you or are you surprised by the worldwide interest and business of Sticky has produced since the pandemic? Have you been taken aback by how the Sticky Weirdos have taken you all into their hearts and lives? And she's got a couple of questions, but that's all good. Has there been any incidences that have really stood out since taking to social media with your weirdos? So you've kind of touched upon this question already with, the seedy side of things as well as, obviously the positive side. But if there's anything else to kind of add to it.
I was initially terribly surprised, and I still have to pinch myself in lots of ways. I'm not taken aback by the community that Sticky Weirdos has become. I'm kind of inspired by it, and it gives me hope for humanity in lots of ways. The fact that so many people from so many different backgrounds and religions and political persuasions can find a place on the internet of support and generosity and interact with each other, not always agree, but interact with each other civilly and well. So not taken aback. The thing that has really resonated with me from the whole experience is some of the personal interactions with people on the other side of the world, people who have been not just struggling, but people who have been in really dark places, who I have made personal contact with, and it's been very clear. They've said it, but it's also been very clear to me that in some instances we've saved some lives by what we've done. Yeah, quite literally, not just made people smile and stuff, but that is the vast majority of it. But I'm quite surprised, touched, and blown away by the fact that what we've done has made a difference. I really loved every bit of charity or awareness thing we've done. Some of the things we've done around autism. I don't know if you've seen any of that, but this kind of outpouring of love and support and thanks for normalizing something that's often treated really badly. Yeah. Yes, that kind of stuff has just staggered me, absolutely staggered me. And so much of that has come through the Sticky Friends Facebook group. I can't tell you. But more than that, more than just my interaction with them, their interaction with each other is spectacular to see. People making genuine friendships over long distances that seem like they have a longevity to them. So, yeah. Yeah, which is absolutely amazing, isn't it? Amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, it's brilliant. Moving on, but that was obviously very touching, but just moving on so that I don't keep you for too long. Yeah. There's still a few questions to go. So Ginger has asked, what is the most difficult lolly to make? What has been the funniest lolly that you've made? What's the most unusual request of custom orders? And how have you managed to stay a positive anchor during the pandemic rollercoaster ride? The kangaroo has generally been the hardest lolly to make because they're so pointy and asymmetrical. We used to the weirdest things we used to do a range of adults only. Okay. That we would sell in brown paper bags under the counter. That we haven't been doing those for a while, but I did used to do little rude pictures and sayings and things like that. I suppose sorry, I was going to say, I suppose that would be quite good for I'm not sure if you call it the hens nights and bucks nights and yes, yeah, I was going to say hen do, because we call it hen do over here, but yeah, okay, yeah, so I imagine those would be quite good for those kind of occasions. Oh yeah, there's sugar lends itself to some wonderful shapes for something like that. Just automatically just leaps out at you. It's not part of. Sorry, I was going to say, does this look like a penis? Yes, it does. But we can't do that as part of the lives. We're very conscious about keeping what we do friendly to everyone as much as possible. So, but yes, that's some of the kind of the weirdest and most wonderful stuff we've done. There was the last part of your question, though, wasn't about candy. It was about
as how have you managed to be?
Stay positive.
Yeah, so positive, basically. Yeah.
Honestly, I've taken a heap of strength from a heap of. I wasn't. To be absolutely honest, when we first went broke last year, I wasn't. I was walking around in a daze, just thinking that's it, it's gone. But having not just saving the business from a financial point of view, but having the interaction with humans who, as I say, have kind of reached out to us and told us about the difference they're making in our lives. It really does help you and keep you energized, and it gives you something to work for, even on those really terrible days where you're like everyone. You have terrible days. I know the staff all has terrible days, and but knowing how much some people are getting out of us and what we do makes all that stuff. It makes it a lot easier to smile and be positive. And it's not always easy, though. It's not always easy. When it's easy, it's really easy. When it's not easy, it's pretty tough. But
yeah,
that's just part of the kind of little niche we found ourselves in. So we try and do it as much as we can and help people to smile and do something whimsical and unimportant. And yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And it's is that kind of what gets you through sort of the low days and in the days when you probably don't really want to make lollies? I don't know if that's ever the case, if you ever sort of, because I imagine it is.
Only days with a Y in them. Yes, it does happen all the time. Look, quite honestly, at least one thing happens every day that there'll be something in the group. Someone will direct message me. There'll be I don't know. I was having a really bad morning a couple of mornings ago. I think I'd fought with Rachel and I got into work and I was in a terrible mood. And someone posted in the group about how their child on the she was a nurse, and this child on the spectrum had come in and wasn't going to have his treatment and she remembered but for some reason this child, one of the things he was fascinated with was emojis.
Okay.
For some reason she had a bag of our emoji candy in her bag. This is somewhere in the United States. And she remembered and she ran and grabbed it and she showed it to him and he was just staggered, and she said he could have them if he had his treatment, and then he was all over it and just couldn't get his treatment fast enough. But so something like that generally happens to me once, not every day, but most days something like that happens. And I can't tell you, I teared up. I'm man enough to admit that I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just stupidly making a difference, not cleverly or importantly, but just little bits around the edges making a difference. That's what makes every day a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely. And real men cry. So, it's all good.
Hell yes, we do.
Yes.
Just for the fun of it sometimes.
Okay, so I've heard a couple of times in the background, I think, so hopefully I'm right, but Danny has asked, how's Jack? So I'm guessing that's your dog, is it?
Jack's so good. We actually we had a tough experience in the middle of last year when our cat died.
Oh, sorry.
No. Look, that's life. It's one of the reasons you have a pet is to help your kids learn those lessons. So, but I love cats. They're so delicious and perfect and adorable, but I can't really condone them in a country like Australia because, we've got something like 30 million feral cats wandering around just decimating native populations of wildlife. So we got a little dog. So we've got this puppy and he's a Jack Russell pug cross.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
He's a jug. And he's just magical. I can't tell you. When they were dishing out cute, he got a lion's share of it. He's amazing.
Oh.
Another thing that helps make your days better when you come home and get smothered in kisses from a jug.
Definitely, because my mum's boyfriend has got a dog who's called Mr. Socks. Why it's Mr. Well, it's because he's a boy, obviously.
He's a boy.
Yeah, and he's got white feet, so that's why he sucks. And yeah, and they've, you know, they live with us now, basically, and it's so nice to have a dog in the house. It's like I've been waiting 38 years to have a dog, you know, and it's like, oh my god. So I understand what you mean.
Yes, cats and dogs are quite different. There's an unconditionalness about a dog that just all it wants to do is be on you or with you, or it just wants that connection. It's a delightful relationship that mankind has formed with that animal. So
Yes.
yes, he does put a smile on my face.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good. Maybe we'll, I don't know if you've done it, but maybe we'll see some lollies of him in the future.
We keep threatening to do a fur babies mix, and it hasn't happened yet, but it will happen, and I'd definitely put Jack in there if I could. I do post little. I try not to post pictures of Jack in the group much because it seems so clickbaity.
Yes.
Puppy pictures. But having said that, I do occasionally succumb to the weakness of look at my little boy. He's super cute.
Yeah. The thing is, though, as well, a lot of people actually want to see pictures of puppies and stuff like that as well.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to see that?
Crazy people. That's who don't want to see that.
Cats and dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Half the internet, it must be half the internet is cats and dogs, surely.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that, you know, the most viewed, like, YouTube channels are probably ones of cats and dogs, to be honest.
Of course, of course.
Pamela would like to ask, the Sticky team is an eclectic group of people. I'm curious what Dave or whoever does the hiring looks for when interviewing to end up with such a great crew.
The things my experience with hiring people is you cannot tell until someone's been with you for a week whether they're going to be any good or not. Mm-hmm. And some people present really well on paper and some people present terribly, but then some people you think are going to be fantastic because they interviewed well, they turn out to either hate the job or just not fit in with the culture that you've built.
Yeah. So
it's impossible to tell. What I look for is someone who's prepared to work physically hard. And that kind of excludes quite a few people off the bat and that's not a bad thing. Some people want to work in an office or they're more artistically inclined or the idea of doing something that's a bit more blue collar in a way or something, I guess, really doesn't appeal to some people. And that's it's absolutely fine. Don't judge anyone for that at all, but you're not really going to make much of a candy maker if you don't want to spend part of your day sweating hard and lifting things.
Yeah.
So, I look for that job, that they've had some kind of job before where they've been challenged in that way. Really helps me to think, well, okay, you probably know what you're getting into a little bit. And then it's changed a little bit now that I'm kind of looking for people who can maybe perform and be comfortable on camera. But generally it's just, have you got a sense of humour? Our big thing is if you come to the table with any kind of dislike of particular groups or sexualities or genders or religions or if you've got anything that means you're not going to get on with pretty much everyone and you're really not going to fit in with the group. So, and that's really what I look for is are you going to work hard and are you going to play nicely with others? There's nothing deep about it. And then hopefully we work out soon whether you like it and whether we like you and we can move on or work together for ages.
That's definitely, a good thing to sort of keep to. And it does seem, I mean, obviously we know the on-camera people and we realise, for the most part that not every day are people going to be upbeat and bubbly, but you do all seem to have quite a good connection, and all do have very similar sort of personalities and things, so you've done quite a good job at picking your team, it sounds like.
I think one of the things that works probably is that we in a lot of ways we're quite different, but there's just an acceptance that it's all right. You don't have to agree with me. I'm generally a kind of opinionated person, but I don't expect anyone to agree with me when I offer my opinion on anything. I get kind of delighted when they do. It's not an expectation I have.
Well, that's good. That's good, definitely. And do you ever sort of fight over what music that you want to play?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Yeah, they're probably the biggest fights in the shop. Yeah. Lily's completely devoted to The Cure and is it kind of new wave, and if she could, she'd be playing Slayer the whole time. She's really into metal.
Yeah, she's my kind of girl.
Yeah, whereas I just can't take it. It's too angry. It's going to make me too angry. So we fight about music all the time, but everybody gets a turn is kind of the deal. I play my rubbish and you can play your rubbish, and so we'll meet somewhere in the middle.
Yep, I think that's fair enough. Definitely.
It's one of the hardest things actually, is not being able to play real music on the lives because of copyright issues. So it seems like I'd be more than happy to pay some. I currently pay One Music Australia $600 a year to play music in the shop, but that won't cover streaming. So if I'd quite happily pay another fee to give artists more money and to get some recognition going for them, but it's just not an option.
No, that's good. But you do give them the recognition by singing quite a lot, don't you?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. It depends who you talk to. Some people love my singing, and then other people Lily hates my singing, and then I don't know. But it did. I don't know when that became a thing, but it's kind of become a thing. So I throw it in occasionally. It's quite hard. I'm not a singer, so when you get asked to sing something, it's quite daunting. But sometimes it just comes over you, and you just throw it in there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's certain times, like in life, when I'm just saying something and it will just trigger a song and I'll just burst into song,
Yeah, that's where it has to come from for me. Yeah. It has to be just automatic or something. So
no audition to Australia's Got Talent quite yet, but still.
You wait and see. No, I'm not saying anything. The album, I'll wait for the album to drop.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think you could probably. I don't know if Australia's Got Talent is actually a thing, so I'm just.
It's a thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was going to say you could, from how quickly you guys can cut the candy, I think you could actually go on there and do that and then
just cut some candy.
Yeah,
it's the stuff we do that. Look, we've done some. Annabelle makes these little shorts, little 30-second things, and puts them on YouTube or TikTok of just us cutting candy, and they go mental. Yeah. Honestly, because I've been doing it for 20 years, I go, you see yourself turning up in these compilation world's fastest worker videos, and what is that? How does that work? But they are terribly satisfying, and they're the ones that you end up with 150 million views or something.
Yeah, which is absolutely insane, isn't it?
It's
insane to think about how many people, you know what I mean?
That's so many people.
Yeah, that is, yeah. And, and also, sometimes when I almost want to kind of see how fast it would be if they're sped up, if you know what I mean. Because you're so quick, you know what I mean? If you were to speed them up, it would actually, I think would probably turn into a bit of a blur.
It's depending on who's doing it. It is pretty quick, but it's like everything in life. If you spend enough time doing something, you expect to get reasonably good at it.
Yes,
you'd be disappointed. I'd be disappointed after 19 years if I wasn't reasonably good at it. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, you big disappointment otherwise. And we've actually got to the last question from the weirdos. Okay. So, because there's a couple of people's questions which I haven't asked, but because you've covered their answer, you've covered their sort of things throughout. But Tricia would like to know, if you could travel anywhere in the world, including underwater, where would it be and why? And I love this question because it's kind of my kind of question.
Okay. It wouldn't be underwater, to be quite honest.
Okay.
It does change day to day. If you were to ask me today, there's a little island off the east coast of Thailand called Koh Phangan.
Okay.
and I could quite happily spend 2 weeks in a little hut on that island right now. That's my answer today. But then on another day, I could say something like, I really want to go to Nepal. I don't need to climb Everest. I don't need to do any of that, but I really want to go walking in Nepal. So I don't know. There's so many places. I'd love to see Machu Picchu. I'd love to. Actually, I lived in America for a year and a half, but I never got to travel, so never got to drive around. Europe, I haven't been to Europe for years, and doing Italy and France and England and Scotland. I'd love to go to Scotland. Honestly, I could just list every country in the world.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Southern India, Kerala, the backwater boat trip in southern India. Oh, I don't know, everywhere.
See, because to me, India's personally never sort of appeared on my radar. Do you know what I mean? It's my friend was in India for a while. She was doing she was like a tour guide, and she'd tell me about all the amazing but also the weird side of India kind of thing, where they
it has both.
Yeah, poo in the street and things like that. But,
yeah. It took when I was younger and I spent 6 months there. It took a month before I liked it at all. Yeah, and then when it was over, I really didn't want to leave. It changes the way you think about humans, because it's a completely different kind of community and quantity. Just the quantity of people and the way they organize their relationships and stuff. It puts so many things in perspective, particularly coming from a country as sparsely populated as Australia. It really is a perspective changer.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to have to make a bucket list of places to visit then, it seems like. Or I will. Well, yeah.
there are 205 countries appearing at the Olympics, and I'd love to. I did work, when I was in America, I worked with a guy who made quite a lot of money in outdoor advertising, but he'd made a mission to visit every country on Earth, and I think he'd come pretty close. He was, he'd been to places like North Korea and some very strange places. So it'd be quite nice to make that your task towards the end of your life. I don't know, there's probably too much once you get to that age. But.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that. But yeah, it's like some people leave stuff until retirement or whatever. I think it's important to do the trips beforehand, isn't it? So
absolutely. Yes. No. Any opportunity to travel's the source. Travel's the best thing you can do. Experiencing what it's like to live in Saudi Arabia was a complete eye-opener to me, and it changes your respect for other people and your respect for yourself too. Or every opportunity to travel, everyone. Yeah,
that sounds like a good way to kind of end this episode, to be honest. But before we do, I just wanted to say, could you give us your social media so that people that actually don't know about Sticky, obviously they found out about it throughout this episode, hopefully, but I think we've covered quite a lot. But yeah, if you could give the social media so that people can follow you. And
sure. On Facebook and Instagram, it's just Sticky Lollies, STICKY LOLLIES, Sticky Lollies, all one word.
Yeah.
On TikTok, we're Sticky Australia. And then on YouTube, we're Sticky Sydney.
Fantastic. Well, thank you ever so much for this opportunity, Dave. It's really been...
Thanks, Gemma. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really have as well, because I hadn't been there from sort of, the day one of the lives and whatnot, and I haven't watched all of the videos, but I have watched quite a lot of them. And so don't worry, it's not just I saw one and then I'm doing this.
No. Honestly, I can't believe anyone would watch more than one. But then, I really get it. I do get why people like it. It makes complete sense to me, but I'm constantly delighted and surprised.
Yes, which is amazing. So in that case, then, I think that we've been talking enough codswallop this week. I have been Gemma.
I've been David.
You sure have.
Thanks for the opportunity, Gemma. Objectively, it's a crazy story, so it's nice to be able to tell it. So cheers.